Good morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and I was always told I had a voice radio, so today I'm going to be showing you about an exciting new trainer card from the Pokémon Sun and Moon trading card game expansion. It is Poison Barb. Now, Poison Barb is a tool card, which means you attach it to one of your Pokémon. One tool per Pokémon, unless, of course, you are something like the Entei with the ancient trait Theta Double. And then, if you are attacked and damaged by an attack, the attacking Pokemon is now poisoned. Now, this is damaged by an attack, ladies and gentlemen. That means that if your opponent, uses Espeon's attack to search for free cards, even though they're using an attack, there's no damage being done by the attack, so it will not come into play. Now, that is what the card does. You get poison. You get to poison your opponent's Pokemon without doing anything. And let's make no mistake about this. Extra damage is always good. You primarily, and there are other ways to win like deck out, but you primarily win the game by knocking out 6 Pokemon and taking 6 prizes. Though, of course, you can knock out fewer than 6 if you're knocking out things like EXs and GXs that give up 2 prizes. So the more damage you do, the more knockouts you get. And we've seen this in a number of different ways. Rocky Helmet was a tool that did extra damage when you were damaged by an attack. Druddigon had an ability along those lines. The new Sharpedo from Sun and Moon puts 3 damage counters on the attacking Pokemon. Now, the thing here is it's poison, so it's not just a one-time thing. They take an extra 10 damage between turns. Now, this is important because they get poisoned at the end of their turn, which means after their turn they take 10 damage, and then unless you play something like a Lysander or an Escape Rope to switch their active Pokemon, they are going to take a minimum 2 lots of poison. So if we look at something like Hypnotoxic Laser, which has been rotated out but is still legal in the expanded format, you play Hypnotoxic Laser, they take 1 lot of poison, but then they get to have the option to switch out. Well, now they are taking a minimum 2 turns of poison. Now again, it's been rotated but is legal and expanded. If we play Verbank City Gym here, then your opponent is going to take 30 from Verbank City Gym poison after their turn, and then another 30 after yours. You take something like a 60 HP promo Jirachi. Okay, they can attack to get rid of your special energy, but they're also doing 10 damage, so they'll take 30 damage after their turn and 30 damage after yours and actually be KO'd even if you don't attack. Now, sometimes you do even get extra little effects from poison. Now, again, it's rotated but legal and expanded. There is a Dragalge, which stops your opponent retreating if they are poisoned, which is always a good thing, just stopping and retreating, having a bit of fun like that. And we have a Toxicroak at the moment that actually cannot be damaged by poison Pokemon. Nothing amazing, but you never know. I mean, for instance, the new Poliwrath from Sun and Moon does extra damage if they're poisoned. Water and a double colourless energy, 80 damage, but if they're affected by a special condition, 80 more damage and remove them. Now, I'm not saying Poliwrath's a good card, I'm just using Poliwrath as an example of a card that does extra damage when your opponent is affected by a special condition. Now, there are plenty of ways to turn off special conditions. Now, there's something like Pokemon Center Lady, but of course your opponent will have to use that on their turn, by which time they've already taken 2 turns of poison. There's things like Zoroark in Standard, Caldeo in Expanded. You jump in the active and use Floatstone to retreat for free, but again, they've already taken 2 turns of poison. In the Expanded format only, there is Virizion EX, which stops your opponent's Pokemon being affected by special conditions. And also in the expanded format, we have got Sparkling Robe, a tool which stops them being affected by special conditions. Now, the one thing we do have here is we have Florges Break. Now, this is not a particularly relevant card. I don't think I've ever seen it see play in any deck whatsoever. However, you get to remove 30 damage and heal special conditions from your active Pokemon. Only one special condition, but you'd go for poison. Now, even if we ignore the fact that Florges Break is entirely unplayable because it is in fact a stage 2 break or a stage 3 and it's just not good, you've still got to take the 2 turns of poison before you heal and get rid of the poison. At the moment, there are not great ways to get rid of special conditions, or at least to stop them going on. So let's say right now that there is a lot of potential for this card. Automatic poison, extra damage, there is an awful lot of potential here. But there are 2 main reasons why it might not be good. Number 1, it's up to your opponent. They decide whether they attack into you. And yes, there will be some turns where they have to attack into you. But, there's a good parallel here with Bursting Balloon. You can play Bursting Balloon, but how often does your opponent play something like a Lysander or an Escape Rope to attack something other than the Pokemon to whom Bursting Balloon is attached? Although do remember that Bursting Balloon only lasts for 1 turn, whereas Poison Barb will stay, but then Bursting Balloon puts 6 damage counters, whereas Poison Barb is 1 between turns after the attack. So swings and roundabouts here as to which one you prefer. The one thing you can do with Poison Barb is you can put 3 or 4 down on the field at once and really force your opponent to attack into one of them, whereas if you do that with Bursting Balloon, you use all your Bursting Balloons in a single turn, and then they go away. The other problem here is that we have some very, very good tools at the moment. I've already mentioned Bursting Balloon, and decks like Greninja, for instance, will generally prefer to play this. We've got Fighting Fury Belt, which with the extra HP and extra damage has got to be the tool of choice for basic focus decks at the moment. And the Free Retreat from Floatstone is something which has been enjoyed since it was released, and I can only assume will continue to be so. However, this is still good. Yeah, your opponent can play around it. Yeah, there are other tools. There is fun to be had here. Now, clearly it's more useful in Expanded with Verbank City Gym, and the fact that you can really add in quite a lot of damage quite quickly here. But remember that we're moving into potentially a 2-hit KO format. We're going to be looking at Stage 2 GX Pokemon with 250 HP. It's going to be very difficult to be getting 1-hit KOs when you're not hitting for weakness in the Sun and Moon format. When I say Sun and Moon format, I mean when we move into a rotation that's Sun and Moon on. For the time being, we're still keeping cards like Rayquaza and Yveltal, who are going to be having an easier time 1-hit KOing, although not guaranteed. We've got these GX attacks that are 1-hit KO, but that's about it. So when we're looking at a slower format without 1-hit KOs, doing extra damage is going to be vital to make sure that you get 2-hit KOs. That, ladies and gentlemen, is where Poison Barb comes in. I cannot wholeheartedly sit here and say this is the best card ever, it's going to be a 4 of every deck. What I can say is people will play it, it will be used, it will win games, and it is an absolutely viable tool. So I'm giving it somewhere between 3 and 4 Wassies. We don't give half Wassies, that is barbaric. Now you know the deal, ladies and gentlemen, there is a comment section. Tell me what you think of Poison Barb. There are buttons to both like this video and subscribe to this channel. Might I suggest rather heartily you take advantage of both of said buttons. You can follow me on Twitter @TheWassie, and the most important thing as always is to look after yourselves until next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.